Alright, hey guys, KJ here with a exciting review for the Nintendo 3DS. Now, of course, you know what game I'm going to review, but I haven't quite decided, so we're gonna find this out kind of together, but kind of not because I hate you. Not really. Alright, stack of 3DS games, and let's just start going through them. Kid Icarus Uprising, that's a newer game. No. Mario Kart 7, Super Mario 3D Land. Ah, yes. Resident Evil Revelations, third-party title. That's where we're going to start our adventures with reviewing. Now, of course, if you know me, I've been kind of saying, hey, I'm going to do a video review for Resident Evil Revelations, and and I'm kind of just now getting around to actually recording this stuff because I've been sick, school, blah 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 blah, you know. House was on fire, not really, some more bullshit. But you also probably know that I am currently doing an LP for this for Gaming Stooges. Check that out. We're only a few parts in, at least on YouTube. We've got a lot more recorded, and it's going to be up with, throughout the weeks. But let's just review this game.
To start off, Resident Evil Revelations starts after the events of Resident Evil 4 and before Resident Evil 5. The actual events of the game take place after an event called the Terra Grigia Panic, where a terrorist group known as Veltro unleashed a new type of virus on the city and led to its destruction. So then, picking up where we start off, it seems that BSAA agents Chris Redfield and Jessica Short have been kidnapped by Veltro, even though it disappeared after the events of Terra Grigia, and have put them on a luxury liner called the Queen Zenobia. So it is up to Jill and her new partner Parker to save them. Unfortunately, what's there to say? Not everything in this game is exactly as it seems. You see, there's a lot of hidden mess. There's a lot of twists and turns within the story. Not everything is as it seems, like I said. And at the end of the different parts, there are a lot of cliffhangers. The game is divided into episodes, where they take up sections of the game and break it up into little story chunks, essentially. And three of these episodes, when combined together, essentially make a chapter as the game considers it. The main character, of course, would be Jill, although you do end up playing as three other people. But Jill is where the horror is essentially based. The atmosphere works a lot more towards the horror and some fear than with the other characters. With her, it's more about trying to survive rather than beat through a bunch of enemies. Like with the other characters, Chris, Parker, and another new character to the series, Keith. Now, the controls for this game are, wow, amazing, and this is without the Circle Pad Pro. I don't own myself a Circle Pad Pro, although I have been looking into getting one. I just haven't picked one up. But honestly, I haven't seen a reason why I would need it for this game. In particular, there are 3 different control setups that you can use. The one I prefer is Type A, And if you're someone who is a little iffy or just kind of doesn't want to do the whole, you stand there and shoot, and then you can't move type thing. You can set it to gyro controls, where you can, do the whole look around and move stuff, which honestly work. I've tried that out, and that actually feels great. And then there's Type C controls, which put the camera on ABXY, and for the life of me, whenever someone does that, I just don't like it. So, There are also underwater sections to this game, which are underwater. You kind of know how those go. They aren't terrible. They're not great. I think a lot of the good stuff that actually come out of this game come from the second screen, the bottom screen, where they actually give you a kind of a mini map of the area, the weapons you're carrying on you, your sub weapons, a new item called the Genesis scanner, and then how many herbs you have on you. Or if you're in raid mode, the Genesis scanner is actually replaced with keys. This you can quick reload, quick switch out stuff. You could with the mini map you can look. You can't really mess with the mini map, but you can you get a good sense of where you are and where you need to go a lot faster than pausing the game, looking at a map and stuff. I think that that's actually really important, especially in a Resident Evil game. If you are terrible like me with direction, at least, I get lost all the time and I don't know where I'm going. But at least with the bottom screen, I can tell. Also, with the bottom screen, they put on in these like puzzles that they aren't amazing. In order to unlock certain doors, you have to rework some wiring. They're not hard. They're not bad. Like I was saying earlier, a new item to the series called the Genesis scanner helps you search hidden secrets, items, and you can scan enemies. When you scan an enemy, unfortunately, there isn't some kind of data bank in the game that you can read up about enemies like in Metroid Prime games. What happens, though, is when you scan enough enemies and this little gauge at the top reads 100%, you get an extra herb. Some of the hidden secrets in this game is handprints, and searching for all the handprints will get you some bonus items. One of the main things about this game is actually this mission system. It's not a main thing, but it is a kind of a different thing, since there isn't an achievement thing placed into the 3DS itself. The game itself brings in it an achievement system through the something called missions. And basically, what you do is a lot of things. Actually, you could there's some pertaining strictly to single player, the story, and then there's some pertaining to the new mode, raid mode. Now, raid mode is essentially mercenaries mode on crack. That is essentially what raid mode is. Raid mode, of course, is either single player or multiplayer, actually. The goal of raid mode is, instead of killing as many enemies in the time limit as possible, is to reach the goal. You don't have a set time limit, although clearing it as fast as possible gives you a better rank. Killing more enemies, of course, gives you a better rank, and doing about anything good, low accuracy, health, not taking damage, increases your rank. And it's really fast-paced, and it's a lot of fun. I've spent hours in this by myself and online. There is local multiplayer and online multiplayer. You can hook up with a friend, or you can talk to not talk to, but play with strange people, and hope you don't die because you have absolutely little to communication with them. There's a little bit of communication in there, but not really. I think another good way to describe raid mode also is ridiculous. Besides just being on crack, it's also ridiculous, so it's ridiculously on crack. Why I say it's ridiculous is just because of how powerful your weapons end up becoming. There are 3 different difficulties. There's there's about 20 levels in each difficulty. Each level is redone. They basically, what they do is they take they take parts of the story and like take out the enemies, then replace them with new enemies, and say go for it. And then they do that 3 times, each time making it harder. There's different types of enemies. They can make enemies bigger and stronger, or smaller and faster, or have more defense. It's just a lot of like ridiculousness in terms of enemies, and then your own firepower. Weapons you unlock in raid mode are specific to raid mode, as you could easily beat anything in story mode in one shot a lot of times with some of these guns. Why I say this is ridiculous, besides just all of some of the stuff it does, is I have this Magnum, and it's more powerful than a rocket launcher. It's just I basically have a mini rocket launcher that can hold like 6 shots, and then I reload for 6 more. It's ridiculous. I mean, there's no other way to describe it. The graphics for the game are really good. In 2D alone, I mean, they look amazing, and 3D just adds that amount of depth that is kind of needed. Well, of course, you can adjust the depth, but depending on how deep you make it, it just makes it look a lot more. Insert good adjective here. And I remember a little story, about how, why this is good, or not why, but just what a friend thinks. I carpool to go to college, and so one day my friend was driving and I was in the passenger seat playing Resident Evil Revelations in raid mode single player, and he looks over while we're in the middle of traffic, of course, the car's moving, at like, I don't know, 70 miles per hour. He just kind of like looks over, looks at the game, and I'm busy, wondering why the fuck he's doing this while he's busy complimenting how good the game looks. The game brings in a lot of like, it just in certain areas, especially aboard the Queen Zenobia, the game just brings back a feel, like a haunted feel. Like, it brings back that creepy vibe, which is one part that's needed to build this kind of tension that is needed for that horror, and it just has a lot creepier vibe to it. And there's also some cutscenes. Those, of course, look great. Now, probably something that's really, really important to me personally is the music. I think music can say a lot about a game, and the music for this game speaks volumes for Revelations. Just listen to a few tracks. Hard to recommend one. one in particular that always stands out in my mind is the main hall theme for the Zenobia. When you just walk in there, it's a peaceful room. There, there's never any enemies there. There's not like nothing bad happens there, but it still has that creepy vibe. And it has this organ playing, and it just feels kind of creepy to be in there, but it's so majestic and it's just so amazing that you just have to go listen to it. There's other. Of course, it's not the only song, and there's some really good songs that build tension, especially during, the boss fights. There's like about 5 major ones that pop into mind, and the boss fights, they're for the most part they're actually really fun. The final boss is really cheap, though. Um, when you get to its final phase, but that's if you can just rocket launch it. If you've got a rocket launcher from one of the previous fights, there's a previous fight that gives you rocket launchers. He's a cakewalk then. But that's besides the point. I just think that the game, with the use of music and graphics, are able to blend that tension and then add that fear sense through the isolation that you have on the ship. And then, of course, there's well, the dialogue. What's a Resident Evil game without the dialogue?
I mean, I think Chris has probably the best line in this. It's just classic. Just gotta do it. Well, overall, I think Resident Evil Revelations is probably one of the solid titles for the system so far. It's probably, it's hard to say, but I want to say it's my favorite game for the system thus far. Although I just know it's one of my easy top 10 for the system. I mean, that's not saying much since it's been out for a little over a year now, and it kind of doesn't have a huge library, but you saw the games I was throwing earlier. I mean, those are actually really good games. And just in case anyone's wondering, yeah, I have one of those copies. Misspelling. Let's see if I can get it focused in. As people that can't read, or actually people that are blind, could probably read this. They switch the A and the T. Which doesn't say a lot about the game itself. It just says that, like it's a box and it's misprinted. I don't see why a lot of people were rushing out to buy this. I had mine pre-ordered, and then they said, oh hey, this is all messed up. And I'm like, cool. Overall, Resident Evil Revelations is a game that anybody who owns a Nintendo 3DS should probably own. Of course, it's based around a certain group of people who are willing to put themselves through a little horror. If you can withstand a few frights or scares, you're in for a great experience, trust me.